My friends, please subscribe to my channel, like the video and write a comment, and we begin. Part 1. The crushed announcement. The notification popped up on my phone screen, a jarring interruption to the otherwise peaceful afternoon. It was a group text from Jessica, our resident organizer, and the unofficial head of our little friend circle. My thumb hovered over the message, a sense of vague unease settling in my stomach. Jessica usually only texted the group for important announcements, and something about the timing, a Friday afternoon, just a few weeks before the 4th of July, felt ominous. Guys, bad news. The text read, the words blunt and to the point, leaving no room for misinterpretation. We have to cancel the annual 4th of July barbecue. Budget cuts, you know? Inflation is hitting everyone hard. A wave of disappointment washed over me, a tangible physical sensation that left me feeling deflated and listless. The annual 4th of July barbecue at the Miller's farm was more than just a party. It was a tradition, a cornerstone of our summer, a celebration of friendship and good times. It was the highlight of the season, something I looked forward to with childlike anticipation every year. I had already started planning my outfit, envisioning myself lounging in the sunshine, sipping on ice-cold lemonade, and laughing with my friends. I had even perfected my signature potato salad recipe, eager to showcase my culinary skills and contribute to the feast. Now, all those plans were crumbling before my eyes, reduced to nothing more than a wistful daydream. The memories of past BBQs flooded my mind. The dazzling fireworks displays that lit up the night sky, the raucous cornhole tournaments that brought out our competitive sides, the delicious burgers and hot dogs sizzling on the grill, the infectious laughter that echoed through the fields. It was a time for carefree fun, for forging deeper connections with the people I cared about most, for creating memories that would last a lifetime. I'd been looking forward to this year's barbecue for weeks, counting down the days with an eagerness that bordered on obsession. The last few months had been particularly challenging, filled with stress, setbacks, and a general sense of malaise. The barbecue represented a much-needed escape, a chance to unwind, recharge, and reconnect with the joy and simplicity of life. Seriously? No barbecue? That sucks, replied Liam, the group's resident jokester, his message conveying a sense of genuine disappointment. He quickly followed up with a string of sad face emojis, a visual representation of the collective gloom that had descended upon our virtual gathering. The consensus was clear. Everyone was bummed. The annual 4th of July barbecue was a cherished tradition, a beloved ritual that we all looked forward to. But hey, times were tough. I understood. Money was tight for me too. Inflation was soaring, gas prices were skyrocketing, and the cost of everything from groceries to rent was steadily increasing. We were all feeling the pinch, struggling to make ends meet. I scrolled back through the texts, rereading Jessica's explanation, searching for some glimmer of hope, some loophole that would allow us to salvage our beloved tradition. But her words were unambiguous, her reasons seemingly irrefutable. Budget cuts and inflation seemed like valid reasons, logical justifications for canceling the barbecue. It was hard to argue with that, especially given the current economic climate. A small pang of guilt pricked at my conscience. Perhaps I was being selfish, dwelling on my own disappointment when everyone was struggling. Maybe canceling the barbecue was the responsible thing to do, a necessary sacrifice in these difficult times. I closed my phone, trying to shake off the disappointment, attempting to resign myself to the inevitable. I'd find something else to do. A quiet night at home, maybe a movie, perhaps catching up on some reading. It wouldn't be the same as the barbecue, but... Part 2. The Whispers of the Web. The initial disappointment over the canceled barbecue lingered, a persistent undercurrent of sadness that shadowed my every activity. I tried to distract myself, throwing myself into my work, immersing myself in a new book, even attempting a half-hearted workout. But nothing seemed to work. The thought of the barbecue, the image of my friends gathering without me, kept intruding into my thoughts, fueling a growing sense of unease. The next day, scrolling through social media, a mindless habit that often consumed my idle moments, I saw Sarah's story on Instagram. Sarah, with her perfectly curated feed and her perpetually enviable lifestyle, was always quick to document her adventures, her travels, and her glamorous social gatherings. Her story typically consisted of artfully filtered selfies, breathtaking landscape shots, and tantalizing glimpses into her seemingly perfect life. Today, however, her story contains something that struck a nerve, something that ignited a spark of suspicion in my mind. She was out on the boat, her long blonde hair blowing in the wind, her face radiant with happiness, her sunglasses reflecting the shimmering water. That in itself wasn't that weird. She'd had the boat for years, a sleek, expensive vessel that she often used for weekend getaways and impromptu parties. But as I studied the photo more closely, my heart skipped a beat. In the background, visible behind Sarah's sun-kissed figure, was a familiar face. John Miller, the owner of the farm where the annual barbecue was traditionally held, was standing at the helm of the boat, a broad smile stretching across his face. And beside him, partially obscured by a railing, were other familiar faces. John's family, his wife, his kids, all laughing and chatting, seemingly oblivious to the financial hardships that had supposedly necessitated the cancellation of the barbecue. Could it be? A wave of confusion washed over me, followed by a surge of anger. Could they be on the boat with the rest of our friends? Was everyone on the boat without me? The curiosity ate at me all day, gnawing at my insides, refusing to be ignored. I couldn't shake the image of Sarah's Instagram story, the smiling faces, the luxurious boat, the blatant contradiction to the claim of budget cuts. That evening, scrolling through Instagram once again, my fingers compulsively refreshing my feed, I saw a new post from Emily, another friend in the group, another purveyor of carefully crafted online personas. Loving this 4th of July weekend. #friends, #goodtimes, #blessed. The photo was a panoramic shot of the Miller's farm, taken from a vantage point that offered a comprehensive view of the entire property. It was a sprawling spread of picnic tables, decorated with patriotic banners and red, white, and blue balloons, grills smoking, filling the air with the aroma of barbecued meat, kids running around, their laughter echoing across the fields, and a familiar group of faces, everyone who was supposed to be feeling the pinch of budget cuts alongside me. It was the barbecue. Confusion turned to anger. My initial disappointment had morphed into a simmering resentment, a feeling of betrayal that threatened to boil over. If the barbecue was canceled because of money, as Jessica had so emphatically stated, then why was everyone there? What was going on? I hesitated, unsure. Part 3. The live stream. The digital breadcrumbs scattered across social media had ignited a firestorm of suspicion within me. Sarah's boat photo, Emily's panoramic shot. They were pieces of a puzzle that were starting to form a disturbing picture, a picture that excluded me, that painted me as an outsider, a pariah. The whispers of the web had become a deafening roar, a chorus of voices confirming my worst fears. I had been deliberately excluded. But I needed concrete proof, irrefutable evidence that would solidify my suspicions and expose the truth. I needed to see it with my own eyes, to hear it with my own ears. I needed to witness the barbecue firsthand, to confirm that my friends were indeed celebrating without me, that I had been deliberately shunned. The next morning, the pieces began to fall into place, or at least I thought they did, in a way that was both devastating and strangely satisfying. While grabbing my morning coffee, a ritual that usually soothed my nerves and prepared me for the day ahead, my best friend Chloe called me, her voice trembling, her words laced with a palpable sense of urgency. Chloe was my confidant, my rock, the one person I could always count on to be honest, loyal, and supportive. Her call at this early hour was a clear indication that something was seriously wrong. "Have you seen it, Rachel?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, her words cutting through the fog of my morning routine like a shard of ice. "Have you seen the live stream?" "What live stream?" I asked, my anxiety spiking, my stomach churning with a premonition of impending doom. "What are you talking about, Chloe? What's going on?" "From the Miller's farm," she replied, her voice trembling even more now, struggling to maintain her composure. "They're streaming the barbecue live. It's brutal." Before she could elaborate, before she could explain the full extent of the situation, the call abruptly ended, leaving me hanging, suspended in a state of agonizing uncertainty. I hung up and immediately went to the Miller's Facebook page, my fingers flying across the keyboard, my heart pounding in my chest. I navigated to their profile, scrolling through their posts, searching for any sign of a live stream. And then I saw it. A small, rectangular thumbnail, pulsating with a red live icon, a visual announcement that confirmed my worst fears. It was a live stream of the annual 4th of July barbecue in full swing, broadcasting the celebration to the world, excluding me in a way that felt both cruel and deliberate. I clicked on the thumbnail, my breath catching in my throat as the video loaded. The camera panned across the familiar faces of my friends, their laughter echoing through my speakers, their bodies moving with a carefree joy that felt like a personal affront. The sizzling of burgers and hot dogs filled the air, the aroma of barbecued meat wafting from my computer screen, taunting me with its tantalizing promise of summer fun. It was a vibrant scene, a picture of summer perfection, a carefully curated tableau of friendship and happiness. But it was a picture that deliberately excluded me, a picture that emphasized my isolation, a picture that confirmed my status as an outsider, a pariah. My heart sank, plummeting like a lead weight into the depths of despair. To cancel the barbecue under the guise of financial hardship, to feign solidarity in the face of economic adversity, only to host it anyway and broadcast it live for the world to see, was a level of betrayal I couldn't. Part 4: The Anonymous Tip. The live stream played on a loop in my mind, a constant, torturous reminder of my exclusion. The laughing faces, the sizzling barbecue, the shimmering fireworks reflected in their eyes. Each detail was a barb, twisting in the wound of betrayal. The carefully constructed facade of friendship had crumbled, revealing a core of something cold, calculating, and deliberately cruel. I spent the rest of the day in a daze, a numb detachment settling over me. I wandered through my apartment like a ghost, unable to concentrate on anything, my mind replaying the live stream footage, searching for any clue, any hint of explanation. Was it something I said? Something I did? Had I unknowingly offended someone? Had I committed some unforgivable social transgression that warranted this level of ostracization? I dissected every conversation, every interaction, every subtle nuance of my relationship with each member of the group, searching for a pattern, a motive, a reason for their collective decision to exclude me. Was I too opinionated? Too critical? Too demanding? Or was I simply too different? Had my unconventional choices, my artistic pursuits, my independent spirit alienated me from the rest of the group, marking me as an outsider, an anomaly that they could no longer tolerate? As darkness descended, casting long shadows across my apartment, a sense of utter loneliness washed over me. The silence was deafening, amplifying my feelings of isolation, reminding me that I was truly alone in this, that I had no one to turn to, no one to confide in. Later that evening, as I was mindlessly scrolling through Facebook, seeking a momentary escape from the oppressive silence of my own thoughts, I received an anonymous message. A small, white notification popped up in the corner of my screen, alerting me to the presence of a new message from an unknown sender. My heart quickened, a surge of adrenaline coursing through my veins. Could this be it? Could this be the answer I had been desperately seeking? Could this be a message from someone who knew the truth, someone who was willing to reveal the reason for my exclusion? The sender was a profile with no picture and no friends, a blank slate, a digital ghost. The anonymity of the message heightened the tension, adding a layer of intrigue and paranoia to the already volatile situation. Was this a genuine attempt to offer assistance, or was it a cruel prank, a deliberate attempt to further torment me? With trembling fingers, I clicked on the message, my breath catching in my throat as the words appeared on my screen. They canceled the barbecue for you. The message read, the words simple, direct, and devastatingly impactful. It's about David. David, my ex. The name hit me like a physical blow, knocking the wind out of me, sending a wave of nausea through my body. David, the ghost from my past, the one I had tried so hard to forget, the one whose memory still haunted my dreams. I hadn't seen or spoken to him in years, not since our acrimonious breakup, not since he had shattered my heart and walked out of my life without. Part 5: The Confrontation. The anonymous message hung in the air, a digital curse, a Pandora's box unleashing a swarm of unanswered questions and long-buried emotions. David, His name, a mere 6 letters, was enough to unravel the fragile threads of my composure, to transport me back to a time of heartache, betrayal, and profound loss. What did he have to do with this? Why was I being punished for a relationship that had ended years ago? What secrets did he hold that could explain my exclusion from the barbecue? The deliberate cruelty of my friends. I frantically searched for David on Facebook, my fingers flying across the keyboard, my heart pounding with a mixture of dread and anticipation. I typed his name into the search bar, a sense of foreboding settling over me as the results appeared. His profile was private, locked down, guarded by a wall of privacy settings that prevented me from accessing his personal information, his photos, his posts. But I recognized his picture, the small, blurry profile image that served as his online avatar. He looked older, more hardened, his youthful features etched with the lines of experience, his eyes bearing a hint of weariness. But the eyes were the same piercing blue eyes that had once held so much promise, the same eyes that had ultimately broken my heart. Driven by a desperate need to understand, to unravel the mystery that was consuming me, I clicked through the profiles of my friends, searching for any connection to David, any evidence that he was still involved in their lives. I scrolled through their photos, their posts, their comments, looking for any sign that he had been lurking in the background, pulling the strings, manipulating their actions. I looked through posts and comments from Sarah, John Miller, and others, looking for connections. He'd left comments on all of their Facebook pages for years, and all the comments were always liking the other friends' content. David, too, actively avoided watching my Instagram stories, a subtle but significant detail that confirmed my suspicions that he was aware of my online presence, that he was deliberately avoiding any contact with me. The evidence was circumstantial, fragmented, and incomplete, but it was enough to solidify my conviction that David was somehow involved, that he was the key to unlocking the truth behind my exclusion from the barbecue. I had to know the truth. I had to confront him, to demand an explanation, to force him to reveal the secrets that he had been so carefully guarding for so long. It was time to face my past, to confront the man who had once held my heart in his hands, to demand answers for the pain and suffering that I had endured. It was time to confront David. After some digging, scouring the internet for any trace of his existence, I found his number, a relic from a bygone era, a string of digits that I had memorized. Part 6. The Blackmail. The chipped Formica tabletop of the old diner on Main Street felt cold beneath my trembling hands. The aroma of stale coffee and greasy bacon hung heavy in the air, a familiar scent that evoked memories of countless late-night study sessions and early morning breakfast dates. It was a fitting setting for this confrontation, a place steeped in nostalgia, a place where the past and present collided. I arrived at the diner, my stomach churning with anxiety, my mind racing with a jumble of emotions. David was already there, sitting in a booth by the window, his back to the entrance, his posture radiating a mixture of weariness and apprehension. He looked older, more weathered, the boyish charm of his youth replaced by a world weariness that mirrored my own. As I approached the booth, he turned to face me, his blue eyes locking with mine, a flicker of recognition and something that resembled remorse crossing his features. For a moment, we simply stared at each other, suspended in a silence that stretched across the years, bridging the gap between our shared past and our uncertain future. "What's this all about, Rachel?" he asked, his voice low and guarded, his words carefully chosen, as if he were afraid of saying the wrong thing. "The barbecue, David," I replied, my voice trembling, barely above a whisper. Why was I excluded? What did I do to deserve this? He sighed, running a hand through his hair, a gesture that was both familiar and heartbreakingly foreign. "It's not you, Rachel," he said, his voice laced with a hint of desperation. "It's them. They were scared." "Scared of what?" I pressed, my voice rising in frustration, my patience wearing thin. "Scared of me finding out the truth? Scared of me exposing their secrets? Scared of what, David? Tell me." He looked around the diner, as if afraid of being overheard, his eyes darting nervously from table to table, his body tensing with apprehension. Then he leaned closer, his voice dropping to a near whisper, as if he were about to reveal a dangerous secret. "They were scared you'd find out the truth about them. About what they did to me. About what they did to you. It's all lies. Everything they told you about me, about us, it was all a lie. What are you talking about, David? I demanded, my heart pounding in my chest, my mind struggling to comprehend the implications of his words. What truth? What lies? What did they do to you? What did they do to me? David hesitated, his face contorted with inner turmoil, his eyes pleading for understanding. Then he took a deep breath, as if steeling himself for a difficult confession. They never told you, did they? About the scholarship. About why you didn't get it. About why I left. I stared at him, confused, my mind struggling to connect the disparate pieces of this fragmented puzzle. The scholarship? The art scholarship? What does that have to do with anything? That was years ago. I got over it. They paid the university to take away your art scholarship, he said, his voice barely audible, his eyes filled with shame. They bribed the committee, pulled strings, used their influence to ensure that you didn't get it. They wanted to crush your dreams, to keep you from pursuing your passion, to control your future. My parents said they would have me killed. What choice did I have? My parents would never. I started to protest, but the words died in my throat. A cold wave of realization washed over me, a flood of memories confirming the truth of his words. The subtle discouragement, the veiled criticisms, the constant pressure to conform to their expectations. It all made sense now. He looked down, ashamed, avoiding my gaze, his voice barely audible. They told you that I ran off with some other girl, that I betrayed you, that I was a heartless bastard who didn't deserve your love. It wasn't true, Rachel. It was all a lie. They threatened to ruin my family, to expose their financial secrets, to destroy their reputation if I didn't leave you. They said that I wasn't good enough for you, that I was dragging you down, that I was ruining their perfect family. They said that you deserved better than me. What kind of financial secrets did they have? I managed to ask. And what does any of this have to do with what is happening now? With the barbecue, with my friends, with everything. They said that if I didn't help, they would expose what your friends did. You are the one who ended up making the money, and you are the only one who had to sacrifice the money. They know about the art forgeries that some of your friends made. They hired someone to find this out. They said that if you are going to be a loser, your friends will be losers, too. A cold wave of realization washed over me. The pieces all fit. The pressure to maintain appearances, the dark secrets, the ruthless ambition, the willingness to sacrifice everything for power and control. My parents had been pulling strings all